Let me show you something that we have been getting wrong for years. A child who is silent, a child who is screaming. Many of us would instantaneously point out to the screaming child and say, he's out of control. And we label the quieter child to be calm. But what if I tell you that the quieter child could be in more trouble? Because silence does not always mean safety. And mistaking quiet for calm is one of the biggest parenting mistakes of our time. In this video, I'm going to help you see the difference clearly. Here's the mistake we make as parents. We assume that the behavior tells us how the brain is doing. So whenever a child is quiet, compliant, not disturbing, we assume that the brain of the child is regulated. Regulation is not about silence. It is more about safety. And when we mistake quiet for calm, we start solving the wrong problem. To really understand what's happening, we need to stop asking the question, is my child behaving? And start asking, what state is their nervous system in? There are 3 common states that children move through. Let's call the first one the green zone, or when the child is engaged. It feels safe and secure. In the green zone, the child feels safe enough to be themselves. They may be quiet or they may be noisy. That doesn't matter. The most important thing here is they are connected. What matters is this: they are available. If you sit near them, they feel connected. If you talk to them, they will respond. This is how regulation really looks like: responsive, flexible, and alive. Then there is this red zone where the children are in either fight or flight mode. We are very familiar with how children behave in this zone. They throw tantrums, they yell. In the red zone, the child's brain believes that something is wrong and the body tries to protect itself. That's where you see yelling, tantrums, defiance. But here's the key thing that parents miss. There is still some engagement. There is some form of communication. The child hasn't really shut down. It's just that they are signaling distress. There is this third zone called the blue zone where the child freezes or shuts down. This is a slightly different state which few parents aren't able to recognize early. A child enters the blue zone when it is overwhelmed and it feels that fighting or protesting won't help. So the child system does something drastic. It pulls the plug. It shuts everything down. On the outer side, it looks like the child is calm or the child is quiet. However, internally, the nervous system has shut down and gone into survival mode. And this is the danger. Green and blue can sometimes look very identical from the outside. Both are quiet, but one is safety, the other is shut down. And this is where things can get slightly confusing, because a child can be quiet due to 3 very different reasons. Quiet from safety, when it enters the green zone we discussed. Quiet from fear, and quiet from stimulation, when the child enters the blue zone as we discussed. First, the children are quiet because they feel safe. This is a very good kind. They are settled. They are comfortable in their own skin. They may be drawing, reading, or doing just nothing. But whenever you walk to them, you have a conversation, they respond. They are able to go or focus on something, as well as they are able to understand what's going on. In short, you see that they are connected. That's true calm. Second, the child is quiet because it is afraid. This looks very similar from the outside, but it's very different from inside. Here, the children learns that it is safe not to upset the adults. It's safe not to express themselves or not to think too much. They prefer to remain silent, not by choice, but for protecting themselves. This is not obedience or respect. This is self-protection. Third, quiet because the brain is overstimulated. This is where most of us go wrong. We hand over a tablet or a phone to our child. Suddenly, the house goes silent. No arguing, no noise, no resistance. And suddenly we feel relief. But the brain of the child isn't in the calm state. It isn't settled. It is actually in an overstimulated mode. And hence it's either overstimulated or it goes numb. This is definitely not regulation. If you go and approach such a child, you definitely understand he's not connected but lost. All three of these look exactly the same from outside. The same calm, quiet child. However, they are completely different nervous systems. Only one out of them is real regulation, is real calm. Screens did not create this confusion. They actually amplified it. Screens can make your child quiet very efficiently. However, quiet doesn't mean regulated. A child is regulated only if he can stop, shift, bear the boredom, and return to balance. If removing the screen creates immediate distress, this is not regulation. Sedation is not regulation. If this difference between calm and regulated child feels important, then this connects everything on this channel. First thing is to realize that the child is in blue zone. And the next is to design an environment so that your child never enters the blue zone. On this channel, we have already explored how parenting styles shape the nervous system, how dopamine affects child focus, and why environment matters more than discipline. You don't need to go through them all at once, and we have discovered them one insight at a time. But if you are interested to raise a child that is not just quiet, but genuinely regulated, join the journey with us. Don't settle for a quiet house, but aim for a connected one. See you in the next one.